Welcome to Culture Talk. This is the segment where we talk about the intersection of faith and pop culture and how culturally relevant topics can be used to start conversations about your faith. I'm joined today with astrophysicist Jeff Zweerink. We're going to be talking about something weird that's been in the news lately, fast radio bursts.
Yes, it has been in the news lately.
So first, before we even dive into why, what are fast radio bursts?
Well, it's kind of funny because astronomers, just as they're looking around doing things, every now and again they'll find something that's unexpected. And this is one of those unexpected things. And as they were looking through some data, they found these very strong radio signals, brighter than 100 million stars. I mean, we can't see stars in radio with our eyes, but if we could, it would be brighter than 100 million. So it's like a galaxy's worth of radio emission.
Wow.
And they happen in just fractions of a second, so a few thousandths of a second. And so they're very bright, very fast, and we don't know what they are.
So would it be like, you're talking about very fast, would it be like these blips of bright light and then it going away and then bright light again? Is that what they're seeing?
Yes and no. What they're seeing is they're seeing a very bright blip of light. So it goes way up, stays up there, and then drops back off, but it does it in just a fraction of a second.
Wow.
And what's interesting is that most of these, they only happen once. They don't repeat. So there's, it just kind of, what is that would do that once? Although what's interesting is there are some of them that have repeated. And so trying to figure out how could some repeat, why don't others repeat? It's really just made a very fascinating physics problem to solve. And so people are having a lot of fun with it.
So where in space are these occurring?
These are occurring somewhere outside our galaxy. And so the hard part of when you get a very short signal like that, just once, trying to figure out where it came from is really difficult. But there are some techniques people can look at, how the stuff or how the energy is distributed in wavelength and other things that says these things are very clearly outside our galaxy. So there are other galaxies that have these very bright bursts that get transmitted to us, which means they're actually really, really bright, because the further away something is, to be bright here, it's got to be really bright.
Yeah, you said like a galaxy's worth of light? Wow, that's a lot of light.
It really is, and so that's kind of what makes it intriguing. It's you're just dealing with some very bizarre energetic processes. So these are kind of like neutron stars and incredibly large magnetic fields. These are the sorts of things you have to do to even get an explanation for what these things are.
So now you're talking about these bursts. So we have these bursts of light that don't repeat, but then sometimes they do, and they're coming from some galaxy outside of our own. What are scientists speculating? Where are they coming from? Not location-wise, but how are they being generated?
Well, given just how fast they are, that kind of tells you the size of the region that it's emitting. And so it's something kind of smaller than a star, something on the scale of the Earth. A large planet is what that, the length of time tells you that it's something that size. And then you ask, okay, what's something the size of the Earth that can actually generate that sort of radio burst? And you need very strong magnetic fields. So you're talking about things like neutron stars, pulsars. These are things that are the mass of the sun, the size of the Earth, but spinning around 30 times a second type thing. So very strong magnetic fields. But even in that doesn't account for how does it repeat, or why do some repeat and others not, and then some are very bright and some have very low energies. And so there's the fact that we've just found them, we only know about 40 of them so far. It's an interesting problem, but outside of knowing some of the general constraints, we really don't know what they are.
But some have speculated that these bursts are coming from aliens, or they're proposing that they're coming from aliens. So that's why I think it's been spread out throughout the news. You see it on Facebook and everything. People are like, oh, aliens are sending us messages. Cool. Or, So
yeah, well, and what's funny about that is that isn't just the popular press picking that up and saying this might be aliens. There's actually a paper in the Astrophysical Journal that says this might, if aliens were trying to travel across large distances, what sort of things might they do, and might these be consistent with that? And what's interesting is that there's a number of characteristics of these fast radio bursts that would fit within that scenario. Something where you got a large sail, you give a very sharp radio burst, and it gets it propelled along, and it allows it to travel to another star. Now, that being said, I don't think there are too many scientists who think these are actually aliens trying to travel around through space. But the idea that that's a legitimate scientific investigation is really pretty fascinating to me.
But since it's so new, there isn't any confirmation one way or the other. But there's still conversation about this possibly being aliens. And, definitely within the general public, people are curious, and they've seen alien movies, and they get kind of excited or scared about that possibility. But as Christians, how can we look at a discovery like this and not shy away from sharing our faith? What do we do with something like this?
Well, I think the first thing, and what's been tremendously helpful to me, is just actually believing that what God reveals in creation is going to match what he's revealed in Scripture. And so my original thought when we were talking about aliens is that, if there's aliens, that means maybe the Bible's wrong about what God's doing in creation. And I realized, you know what? The Bible talks a whole lot about what God did here on earth, but it really is kind of silent about what else he's done throughout the universe. And so where we see life here on earth, it points towards a creator. To me, it's an open theological question of, did God create life somewhere else? And so it's just a fascinating scientific question too. So this is where I would encourage Christians to just really understand your theology well. Christians are not caught off guard by the idea of aliens out there. We've thought about it for centuries. There's good theology behind that. So know the theology so that when somebody comes up and says, hey, do you know that there are aliens? You can engage that conversation. Or if they come up and you say, there can't be aliens out there, you can also engage that conversation.
Excellent tips. I love what you say there. So thank you so much for that, Jeff. If you want to hear more from Jeff, visit reasons.org and search Impact Events so you can check out his blog.